The first reading is a reading of consolation. The language is very maternal. God is our mother. Jerusalem is seen to be a mother. The abode of the people of God is like a magnet, a spiritual home. And there is something of that in the Christian life. If a soul has found a place where many graces have come in the past, that soul will spontaneously return back to base. Indeed, it is not rare in the experience of holy souls over the centuries to have been called to a specific place precisely because of a specific grace felt there. I remember hearing this from somebody who actually then entered our monastery in Italy. When he came first to our monastic church, he just felt this in his heart. Questa è casa mia. This is my home. And indeed he entered and persevered. The place where there has been a contact with heaven has become precious to us. The place where perhaps eventually one makes one's vows and to which one gives one's life can become very precious. The altar where the graces of one's first masses are still hovering over, they are magnets still, and one relives the grace. As in the life of a couple, sometimes years later they will return to go for a walk where they first took a walk together. Places have echoes still lingering in the air. And so it is good to have places where we can, as it were, make the past come back to life and be warmed again, where we felt the touch of heaven. The Beatles, way back in the 60s, had a song, "There's a place where I can go." It's good to have a place of refuge. The consolation is there also in the Gospel. The 72 come back, blown over by the power that has been given to them, but they are invited to place their joy on a higher level, that their names are written in heaven, so they look up. But consolation is a blessing, and it gives us joy and also courage to go on. We can console each other, as we can be consoled directly by our God, but we need not to be a cause of pain to others, especially those with whom we labour. And indeed we notice that the Lord does send them here in this initial stage, in pairs, 2 by 2. It has been picked up by the Fathers how this has been an invitation to combine the double commandment of love of God and love of each other. We need to be carrying that testimony of what we are preaching. Your actions speak so loudly that I can't hear what your words are saying. And so it is that the first evangelization is radiation. A good advert is our sincerity, both in our prayer and in our human relations. People see through hypocrisy very quickly. We see here how the apostles were sent. The word apostle means someone who is sent. But initially they are not the apostles at this point being sent into the world, they are disciples. A disciple is one who learns, disco. And he is someone who at this stage is preparing the way for the great teacher, from whom everyone will learn. But this great teacher is preparing his own way by sending these satellites. And so it is too that when it comes to receiving the teacher, We need to prepare the ground. We need to prepare children to receive him well, and so our teaching is important. We need to prepare the way for him by the way that we prepare the church and the silence and sacrality of that holy ambit. The care that we show to our God, our King as he comes, is actually physical. But above all, we prepare also with regard to the encountering within, for all the rest is in function of that. We need, therefore, this peace of which the Gospel speaks. When they greet a place, they are to express this peace, Shalom Aleichem, peace unto you, and the test is there. Will the recipient be refractory or not? Will he deflect? And if he is refractory, then a double blessing, as it were, comes back. They have been offended and therefore blessed by the Lord. But we cannot insist there where there is an unpeaceful soul. And if we ourselves are unpeaceful, what advert are we? So peace must be the natural communicator wherever we are. We express serenity and tranquility. We are not easily ruffled. We see that they are not to aggress. We are not to go into those people who don't want us, but the peace comes back to us. We must not lose it, therefore, if we come across an unpeaceful soul, knowing that that soul has a problem, and if we engage with that problem uselessly, we make it our own. We notice also that there is a peace in the simplicity and radicality with which they go, uncluttered, depending on providence. Indeed, it is the experience of the centuries that those who do the Lord's work are honoured by the Lord, and if their vision is correct, then the Lord, who is vision itself, can see how to provide for them. But they must not be, as we would say, fussy. They are to eat gladly and with thanksgiving what is put before them, and not to go from house to house looking for a 5-star rather than a 4-star. Therefore they are easily satisfied, and that is the model. The Lord himself had nowhere to lay his head. That is what he said to one person who wanted to follow him. The Son of Man has not where to lay his head. And this was taken up by many a great saint, like St. Francis, who loved this passage in particular, this being sent forth with nothing but God, and therefore with everything. And there is a freedom in not having a structure. To have an important building is draining, because one has to look after the building. If one has just providence, then one is free to fly and to engage with whatever that providence sends unexpectedly. And so it is that the saints discovered the glorious liberty of not being anchored too much to the material. The important issue as we are here on earth is the immaterial, the salvation of souls. And anything we do with regard to the material is ultimately in function of that. We keep body and soul together through work. But the soul goes on, and the body remains in the ground. With regard to the body, St. Paul bore the marks of Christ. We're not quite sure what these were. They might have been stigmata, but it is more likely that they were actually wounds coming from being flogged and that kind of thing for the sake of Christ. He had wear and tear on his body, and he had been free to fly. Through him, vast regions were conquered for Christ. With patience and again a kind of maternal love, he was able to beget souls, engender them for Christ. And there are no shortcuts with regard to that. We care for those that we carry. And anyone we preach the word to or communicate it to, we in the first instance love into salvation. We really care for them, and we see the danger that menaces them. Souls are in danger, and we want their good. So wherever Providence sends us, we go free to fly, ready for the next surprise. What stands before me is an immortal soul. Lord, give me the word that this soul also may fly, and not be stuck to the ground. Ic habitabo quoniam elegi eam. Here will I dwell, for I have chosen it. O peace, O blessed peace, this is the place where heaven to earth is wed. This is the land wherein the universe has one small space for me. This day a gentle master's hand away through thickets huge has calmly brushed, and from a distant world has homeward called, where in a moment 20 years were hushed, and in a look the flame of youth recalled. O land so vast and holy, land of light, wherein the world moves not, wherein the dark holds o'er the neon gloom a burning bright made of a vigil long, a song to mark the pauses no more made. This alone is what I want upon this globe to own.